Hello everyone and welcome to the iHearthU.com King of the Hill number 6.
We're back.
We're back.
That's right.
You had to do the last couple ones alone. I had to do one before that alone. Doe and I were traveling a lot in the past month and week or so.
You just got back from the Dominican Republic last night.
Yes.
I just got back from China last night. And then right away, first thing in the morning, here we are, casting some Hearthstone.
Doe texts me up, are we going to do this? Hell yeah,
Hell
man.
yeah, we will.
Screw all the jet lag. Here we are.
That's right.
Ready to cast some more Hearthstone. I'm actually really excited about it.
Me too.
This is going to be a lot of fun. Now, the King of the Hill, this is for iHearthU.com, so make sure you check that out. It's really, in my opinion, the best Hearthstone site. We have so many great articles, a lot of great discussions going on in the forums. The Turn 2 podcast,
best podcast
which is finally
in the world,
making a return.
obviously.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, of course, the King of the Hill, which I think basically overall gives you the best production, best games that you can find in Hearthstone.
It does.
So let's talk about the format of this King of the Hill a little bit. It's a little bit different from everything else. It's best of 7. This gives us, I think, a lot more variety with the decks we see, because a lot of people are just doing the best of 5 BlizzCon-esque format, where you're seeing the same, like, 4 classes over and over. But when you expand it to 4 classes, I feel like you get a bit more variety. You get a bit more of the skill of the player showing through.
I mean, with this format, we see, at minimum, 5 different decks. So you get to see a lot of different play styles, a lot of different ideas coming out of these top players. And, you know, ideally, it'll go to, like, Game 7, so we'll get to see a ton of different decks. So I love the best of 7 format. It takes a long time, but it's really, really fun, and we have 2 amazing players this week. I'm really excited to get back into it.
That's right. We finally have our first repeat champion in Savjz, and he has beaten Nyx and Savjz, 2 very prominent players out there. And, of course, Nyx kind of being a teammate. There's kind of the Doge team,
Doggy House?
Yeah.
I don't know, something like that.
Yeah, the Doggy House, the Doge House, whatever we're really calling it.
Much skill, many WoW legendaries, I don't know.
Yes, exactly. And that kind of consists of, you know, us and Ekop, Nyx, Nimsh, Savjz, LS, and a really great group of players. So we might see some decks overlapping.
Yeah.
That's definitely a possibility. But Savjz beat Nyx from that, played against Savjz, beat him, mostly using like a really good rogue deck. I've been playing with that rogue deck a lot lately.
Me
Actually,
too. Yeah.
The one that he used, I've been using an updated version of.
Right.
While I was in the Dominican. Luckily, Hearthstone requires like no internet basically to play.
You can basically play Hearthstone like 2 cans attached by a string like somebody else.
It's nice. So I got to do some really good deck testing, and but I'll talk about that as we start hitting the decks that they're using. But this is going to make this match kind of interesting, because Savjz is going to play against Ekop, who is another one of the big brains on the team helping make these decks.
Yeah, Ekop has been one of the best deck designers in Hearthstone pretty much since beta. He invented easily the best warrior deck. I don't think any other warrior deck has even come close to the one that he made, and just always a great brain for coming up with interesting ways to use cards that, you know, people may not use a whole lot.
Yeah, and you know, Ekop was actually the best German WoW TCG player, one of the best players in that game for years and years and years and years. So definitely has a lot of experience under his belt.
Well, it's interesting to see, too, that the top players in Hearthstone that we're seeing come up aren't like former Magic the Gathering pros. They aren't, you know, Yu-Gi-Oh! Pros or Pokemon or anything like that. It's actually WoW TCG players, you know? And they do have a bit of a familiarity with the game. The games are similar, in case you know, are unfamiliar with the old WoW TCG with physical cards. Hearthstone has a lot of similarities to it. But all these guys, especially the Europeans, are coming up and really kind of taking over the beta. Yeah,
they're doing a great job. But you know, one thing I do have to say, even though Ekop has a bigger history with CCGs, he focuses a little bit more on Arena than Savjz does. Savjz really has been working heavily on Constructed.
Yeah, well, he is the top player in NA right now, according to the Blizzard rankings that got released just recently. He just grinds wins all day, man. I mean, and he just doesn't lose, actually. He doesn't need to play probably as many games as everybody else does, because when you win that much, you know, you're going to have that win rate.
Yeah, certainly. So, this is going to be kind of interesting. They're both going to know each other's decks inside out, their play styles inside out. And speaking of which, let's take a look at these decks now. Of course, from Savjz over here on the left, I guess left or... Yeah, well, that'll be left for everyone watching.
It's the left, yeah. If it's left on our screen, it's left on their screen.
But I guess
too,
because we're looking at them through the screen, it was on my right, technically.
Sort of.
Yeah, right?
I don't know. It's on your side, but that's
It
left.
should be over here.
All right.
Anyways, it is a Warlock deck, and let's take a look at exactly which one this is. This is one of these really cheap minion Warlock decks. This exact one, I used this one a little bit.
Yeah.
I use a deck actually that's a couple cards different, but the couple cards don't change that much. This deck is ridiculous. It might be the best deck in the world right now.
I would agree. I mean, I've been playing a lot with this deck myself too. I've been talking a lot about this deck with these guys, and the last time I haven't gotten to play Hearthstone actually for a couple weeks because I've been traveling so much, and I didn't have a laptop to bring with me. But before I went, my last night of Hearthstone, I played 18 games with this deck and I won 17 of them.
Yeah.
So this deck, if played correctly, is nearly unbeatable. It's so good.
It's insane because you have all these one drops, a ridiculous amount. Of course, you have the Soulfires, which are free. This gives you a lot of tempo. You really get to use the card draw, and of course, you have all the buffing going on. You have the Shattered Sun Clerics, you have the Dark Iron Dwarves, the Defenders of Argus, and these guys allow you to really make the most out of these quick drops, which allows you to control the board, which allows you to use the draw mechanic of Life Tap, which if you can force yourself into using that, the thing is broken, man. You draw 3-4 cards off of that, what is your opponent going to do? The card advantage is staggering.
And I mean, people have figured out too now that having creatures that buff other creatures is a lot stronger than having direct damage spells in your deck. Because with a direct damage spell, you play the spell once and it's gone. It's usually much more valuable to have a creature that ups the attack of another one, so you can trade a cheaper creature for their more expensive creature and then end up with your more expensive creature on the board, and you gain so much advantage from that.
You really do. And I mean, the tempo advantage, and let's not forget that there's all sorts of things in here to help out with that. For instance, the single power overwhelming, you throw that down on, like, let's say one of your, let's see what minions he has in here. It looks like he's not playing the Novice Engineer, the little elf guy that draws you cards. That's always a great one to do too. But you just throw it down on anything here that might be already low on health or something, kill another minion, or maybe you use Shadow Flame with that.
Well, it's a nice thing to toss out in the Argent Squire too after the shields gets popped. If it's still around, you know, you can use it to take out a big minion. But yeah, that's obviously really good. And it's a good finishing move too.
And let's not forget it has Lord Draxus as well. So you can just draw, and then if it's somehow we got to that super late game, you can throw down Draxus, and that's still going to make you pretty scary. The Draxus, you know, some people like him in this deck, some people don't. Some people would rather have a Rag in there, but I like it. I like having Draxus in the deck.
It's, you know, I've played a lot of games with this deck, and as time has gone on, I've been sort of a convert over to Lord Jaraxxus' side, because if you're talking about Ragnaros, I mean, yeah, Ragnaros is really strong, but he's more of a finisher. And I feel like at that cost in this deck, you want something that's more of a sustainer instead. Because if you're getting to, like, turn 9 with this deck, you're probably in a little bit of trouble anyway. And then Lord Jaraxxus is going to come in a little bit handier than Ragnaros in most cases. So as much as I like Rag, I've been won over to Lord Jaraxxus. I'm going to say Lord Jaraxxus now.
Alrighty.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a look at Ekop's deck. Looks like he's named it YOLO-Din.
YOLO-Din.
Let's see why. Okay, so the South Sea deckhands, this is really making a big comeback right now.
Huge in Paladin.
These decks. Yeah. Well, in Paladin, it makes sense, right? Like, every Paladin deck is going to run 4 weapons.
Right.
Like, if you're not running 2 Sword of Justice and 2 True Silver Champions, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, you either don't have the cards or you don't know how to build a Paladin deck. That's basically it.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's the South Sea deckhands as a 1-drop, really nice. Of course, he's got the Argent Squires, the Protectors. You know, anything with Argent in the title you want to use in your deck, basically any deck. Looking at it a little bit further, a couple Consecrations. He's actually, where this deck becomes a little bit interesting, I'm looking a little bit higher up, he's using 1 Equality. Now, this is kind of looking a little bit like the BlizzCon deck I used, where actually that Ekop heavily designed that as well. Like, it was mostly from a shell that he had, and this is like the upgraded version, the updated version of what I use at BlizzCon. But look at a little bit higher up. This is where it gets really interesting for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
We have a Stranglethorn Tiger, we have 2 Molten Giants, a Tyrion, and a Rag.
Yeah.
So that's like a lot of high-end stuff in there.
This is the most expensive stuff I've seen put into a Paladin deck in a long time. It's actually very, very surprising to see that stuff in there. Molten Giant, usually considered a card that a lot of people put in Warlock decks because of the Life Tap hero ability, but, you know, this seems like this is a Paladin deck that's designed to counter the current mid-game or mid-range aggro decks that we see right now, because Paladin has actually fallen off a little bit. You know, right now it's all Rogue, Warlock, and Mage. Yes, Mage, mid-range aggro. And so Paladin, having fallen off, now says, all right, well, I can't match that pace. I can't match that tempo that these other 3 decks do, so I have to go for a little bit longer of a game. And so that's why we're seeing the Molten Giants and Tyrion in there and the Stranglethorn Tiger, and I'm really interested to see how this works out. I like it a lot.
You know, and I do have to echo that kind of, you know, before, when the metagame was a little bit slower, we were using Lay on Hands in the deck as like a really late game card. When you're getting lower on life, you're like, okay, I'm going to replenish myself a little bit with this. Right now, that card is a little bit slow in this metagame. You know, it's a much more aggressive metagame, and that's reflected in these Molten Giants. I feel like those Molten Giants directly went in for the Lay on Hands, is the kind of swap out here. So that's kind of neat, right? Because instead of saying, like, I'm going to heal myself and draw some more cards, you're like, no, here's a big-ass threat. I'm going to stay low on life, and here it is.
And I mean, there's a really good chance that if you get to the point where you're going to be playing Tyrion, you may be able to actually have enough to play Tyrion and a Molten Giant at the same time. Like, that's not inconceivable. It's unlikely, but being able to throw that out late game is going to close out a lot of situations that you'd be in a lot of trouble with if you were running the old-school kind of mid-range Paladin deck.
And you know what I really don't understand, though, here? Stranglethorn Tiger. And what I especially don't understand is it's down at the bottom of the list, so maybe this was a mistake. Maybe that's not actually the card that's in here. Because why would that be down at the bottom? Like, of course, we have to do so much like cutting and cropping and stuff to make this all fit. Of course, well, we don't do it. I mean, this is all sympathetically is great, but maybe that's not supposed to be a Stranglethorn. I don't know. I guess we'll just see. But I'm trying to figure out exactly what that would do, right? That guy is, if I recall correctly, a 5/5 stealth for 5.
I'm counting the 1-drops. I think that's actually would be a 31st card. If I'm counting the cards on the side,
2,
right?
4, 6, 8, 10,
right, let's
12,
just do this.
14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28. Yeah, I don't think there's actually a Stranglethorn Tiger in this deck. Okay, that makes a lot more sense because I'm like, that card would be really.
Is Simon trolling us? I think we're just being trolled here.
It could be. It could be. Maybe he's edited it out now.
Like somebody in chat is going to count it, and then they're going to get 30, and they're going to be in chat. They're like, no, it is 30.
Or maybe it is.
Just don't know what they're talking about.
Here's what I suggest. I suggest that we go ahead and start the game and just see if he draws a Stranglethorn Tiger.
I think that's a great idea. Let's get into the game.
Alright, here we go. The bottom player is going to be Ekop, and Savjz up at the top going first. Gonna go ahead and drop one of his many, many 1-drops.
Oh yes, the Golden Voidwalker.
Well,
so classy. Oh, not as classy as a Golden Knife Juggler.
No, not as classy at all.
Yeah, so do you Soulfire this one right away? I think that'd be a little... Yeah. You may have to.
You know what? I think you do. I think you life tap and Soulfire.
Yeah.
I think that absolutely you have to.
That's gotta hurt though, because you know it's gonna be...
Well, whatever goes. I mean, Knife Juggler's just too good, right?
That's true.
He deals with it, but let's see what Ekop has here. Now at 2 mana, he's going to just throw down another Knife Juggler. That has to be really, really annoying.
Why not, you know? Alright, and so, back over to Savjz. And I think this is the turn you probably play the, the Sun Cleric.
You have to Shattered Sun that guy and just eliminate. But look, already you can see he's gaining such a tempo advantage over here, despite 2 quick Knife Jugglers. I like this move, though. The Aldor, that's going to give him some staying power out there with 3 health and 3 attack.
It's going to make him use up... It's going to make Savjz use up both his creatures to take out the 3/3 if he really wants to get rid of it. Oh, but there's a Defender of Argus. And that will just make things really annoying. I mean, this Warlock deck, you can really see the strength of it, just already pulling out way ahead.
He's doing so much right now. Now, Fairy Dragon, give it the Divine Shield. This is a good move again by Ekop. But again, look at the power of this Warlock deck. He's got the 4 health on this Taunt minion. This is such a pain. How do you get through all of this?
Yeah, not to mention he can put out the Blood Imp next turn. I would go Knife Juggler into Blood Imp. We'll see if he does it, because you can maybe get lucky and pop that Divine Shield.
Yeah, that would be really nice if he gets a pop on that. That's like really.
He's hovering over with the Knife Juggler, and then I think you just go Blood Imp into this, because I mean the Knife Juggler. Well, okay.
Well, he wanted to get rid of that to up the % chance, of course. And well, he doesn't hit, but I don't think that's that big of a deal.
Well, he can still actually take it out with Soulfire. You risk getting rid of Jiraxxus in this case, which is what he's thinking about, but I think to have that board control, it would probably be worth it. Because I would take 4 creatures out on the board and risk losing Jiraxxus rather than let that go, you know?
If he attacks there, a Consecrate is so good.
Yeah.
Suddenly Consecration...
I mean, Consecrate is always going to be good, though. Yeah. So I feel like you can't play in fear of Consecrate.
That is true.
Yeah.
Well, at turn 5, you're going to drop this Sylvanas. Now, this is pretty good. This is a nice place for Sylvanas. Does he attack into this?
I think he does. Okay. Yeah, gets rid of the blocker. Or not get rid of the blocker. Never mind. I can't do math. I was an art major.
Now, do you trade out as Savjz, or do you just go for the throat against this Paladin? Life is still pretty high. Going to draw another card before he completely decides.
I think you can afford to, like, go all in with this, because you've got that other Defender of Argus now, and the thing is that, like, if things go badly, you've always got Jiraxxus at the end of it, right? And I mean, he's got so many creatures where I wouldn't want to risk giving over something.
Yeah, you know, if he...
But that's me. I'm super aggressive.
Well, it looks like he actually is just going to go ahead and go for the throat, playing out minions like this. No fear whatsoever.
Yeah, I think this is fine, because... And this is a response you see against Sylvanas a lot these days, is not just ignoring her, you know? It's like, all right, well, you've got Sylvanas out, you deal with it, you know? I'm not going to even try to take it. I'm just going to do all the damage I can to you as a player. And especially with that Jiraxxus in the hand, I think he's going to feel pretty safe doing this.
Does he attack with the Blood Imp into the Fairy Dragon?
I would not do it. I don't... Well, I mean...
That's a hard call.
You've got 2 Taunters. I think if you only had 1 Taunter, maybe it would be worth it. But since he's got 2, I think you can... Oh, he's actually just going to really go all in.
I like the actual attack with it, because there's no way that Blood Imp is going to be killed off because it doesn't have stealth.
Hey, man, anything more aggro I like.
Yeah.
The more aggressive, the better. So Argent Commander may come out here.
Well, I think that's definitely what you have to do, right? And he's going to be able to just pop one of those little guys, and he's basically going to clean up the board right now.
Yeah, you could take out the 4/3 with the 3/1. I would definitely do that. Yep. And then you could do the Sun Cleric for the commander, and then just strike through for 5 with Sylvanas.
I don't think you strike through for 5. I think
you think so?
I think he hits the Knife Juggler with this.
See, I've been playing around with this a little bit, because the Knife Juggler is good, yes. But against Warlock, I feel like if I can get their health below 20, I can make them stop using Life Tap a little bit more.
You know, at 13 health, there was 7 damage on the board if he attacked with Sylvanas, and then you have Power Overwhelming and Soulfire. So. It's like, that can get pretty iffy pretty quickly. Like, right now, he can actually do, let's see, 8 plus 4. He can actually do 13 right now.
that's true. I suppose that may just be about it. You can never, like, count on them having killing damage, but... It is good to play.
Wait, is he miscounting or am I miscounting? 9 plus 4 is 13, right? Yeah, no, he can just go kill him right now.
We'll see if he does it.
He might be messing around. The thing is, he only needs 1 mana to do it, so he can cast all sorts of spells if he likes.
He's thinking.
I don't like ever playing out extra cards, though, because you don't... The thing is, Ekop knows his deck, so I guess it doesn't actually matter. But when I see players that are like, well, I'm going to kill him, but first I'm going to play his hand. It's like, well, you don't really understand what you're doing because you want to hide as much as possible.
I was talking to Destro at WCG, and he actually told me he'd Bloodlust and then just wait for them to concede. And I'm like, no, you pile. Why would you ever do that?
Yeah.
Destro's a fine young man, but
he is.
He's such a jerk in Hearthstone, apparently.
I guess so. Well, we see Savjz is still thinking, I guess. Wait, no, this is still...
Oh, Ekop. It's over to Ekop.
Yeah, he's like waiting. I don't know what's going on here. Like, right? 3 plus 1 is 4. Plus 4 from Power Overwhelming is... Oh, wait, no, that's 8. Okay, I did my math
I cannot...
wrong.
I don't know.
Okay, he can only get him down to 1. I'm sorry.
After the early part of this cast,
so
I don't want to try to do math, so...
Yeah.
Alright, so he's going to go ahead and attack through again, bring him down to 9.
Okay, so this just kills him off next turn, basically. But he's going to be able to steal a minion with this.
Yeah.
I think you probably run into Defender. Right?
Maybe. Or, I mean, you could use the 4/3 to take out the Blood Imp and then run into the Fairy Dragon and then hopefully get the 3/4. You might get the 1/2, but, I mean, it's kind of desperate measures.
The thing is, he's dead next turn, no matter what.
Right.
So,
and no Ragnaros.
That thing that I thought was 13 damage was actually only 12, so next turn, no matter what, as long as there's a minion out, he gets killed.
And that's a handy Divine Shield aspect.
You know, this shows the power that actually exists in this ridiculous Warlock deck.
Oh yeah.
Like, look at this game, man.
It's explosive. It really is.
The Ekop deck that he's using, it's like the Paladin deck from BlizzCon, but upgraded a bit, like the newer version of it, and it's not quick enough. This is such a powerful deck. It's just...
Well, this is the issue with Paladin right now. It's that it's just a little bit too slow. It's like one turn too slow. You notice last year, or not last year, next turn, he would have Ragnaros, which should give him good board control, but a little bit too slow, and Savjz takes game 1.
All right, so that was the power of the Warlock deck.
Yeah,
and
pretty strong.
Yeah, before we really go over anything, I do want to point out, I think that we've basically been mega trolled by Ekop here. He's put Stranglethorn Tiger down at the bottom of his deck list.
He photoshopped it in apparently. I'm betting he photoshopped it in every single one, and Simon didn't realize.
So of course that same Warlock deck will be used again by Savjz because he won that first game. But this deck coming out, I have so much to say about it. This was the secret tech deck for the 2P tournament that the Doge House team, like, they all ran this. This deck, they call it, like, what I was talking to Nix a lot about it, and he was calling it Frozen Giants. Here it's called Snowman. This is actually a mage deck based off of LS's old Warlock control deck that we called Handlock. Remember that deck? Yeah. This is basically based off that because... it was about getting 8/8s out like super fast and like kind of being ridiculous and super controlling, but Mage does it better.
Oh yeah.
It's, look at this craziness, okay? First off, you have so many freezing effects, okay? You're playing
every single
2 Frost Novas, you're playing 2 Cone of Cold, you're playing 2 Blizzards and a Flame Strike. Like that just makes it so that you are in control in that way so much. And you know what I love with all of this, this freezing? Doomsayer.
Exactly.
Is that so sick?
Dude, I ran him in every single mage control deck I made, like all beta. Doomsayer is awesome on like
Doomsayer all day, man.
Because the thing is Doomsayer, even if he doesn't kill anything, he basically he could almost have the text take 2 turns in a row because he makes it so scary for your opponents to play anything on their turn.
Right. He's a cool card, and he's especially cool in this. But look at all the card draw, for instance. They're playing 2 Arcane Intellects, Loot Hoarders, Novice Engineers. Now, these are going to help you to fill up your hand a little bit more so you can actually get your Mountain Giants out.
Yep.
Of course, over time you're going to take damage, so Molten Giants are going to come out. And then it's got all of the normal damage that you're going to see, the Pyroblast, the Fire Blast, the Frost Bolts. And it's got that Alexstrasza, so you don't need to deal too much damage. Like, you can actually just deal 15 if you want to kill. You
know what's interesting too is that a lot of the top Korean Hearthstone players are actually running mage decks with Alexstrasza as well. So this is kind of similar to what we're seeing at like the highest levels of Korea too right now. So it's kind of interesting to see this come up at like relatively the same time in 2 different scenes.
And one of the things I like the most about this are the 2 ice blocks and ice barriers.
Yeah.
Because this is where it gets so tricky, because you've like kind of filled your hand up, you're playing 8/8s that are hard to deal with. Maybe you played the Alexstrasza. The thing is, with something like obviously the ice barriers are going to slow your opponent down from killing you.
Yeah.
But the ice blocks are going to literally just give you additional turns.
Yep.
So like, let's say you Alexstrasza, the next turn you ice block and fireball. They're dead because the next turn you just pyroblast, and that's the end of the game.
Yeah, this deck is, and it's so much fun to play decks like this. This is really similar to the Icy Manipulator that I made like way back at the start of beta, and I had a video about it and all that, but didn't have any giants in it or anything like that at the time. But that deck, it's just so much fun to lock down their side of the board every single turn. You're not really even worried about killing anything they have. You just need to make it not attack. And then when you live like 2 extra turns with 2 ice barriers, I love it.
Eventually you're going to kill them anyways. Because
you always finish them off.
There's so much damage in here. This deck is really cool. It's super techy. This, I don't know if this is the first time you guys have ever seen it, but this is...
I love this
This is a Doge House special here. And you know what? I think it's going to go very well against the Warlock deck. I think there's just so much freezing. It's going to be very hard for this Warlock deck to actually kill it off. I mean, when you look at it, you want a deck with like a lot of charge in it. Like, for instance, the Warrior deck from BlizzCon, the Ekop design, might be good against this. Because I don't see any taunts. It's all freezing effects. Charge is going to be good against it.
I mean, something very aggro would
Hunter
do well
OTK,
against it.
Very good against this.
Yeah, but mid-range aggro, that's where you're going to start to run into trouble with control, and that's kind of that whole like cycle of what decks are good against other decks. So I feel like this is, like you're saying, a great counter to the Counting Stars, so the Warlock deck that Savjz is running, and we'll see if it has what it takes.
Yes, indeed we will. Let's go ahead and get into the game. All right, here we go. Down on the bottom once again is Ekop. And it looks like he gets to go first. The coin does go to Savjz. And of course, Ekop has to pass that.
Yep, and it's going to be a Fairy Dragon turn 1, and that is already a pretty strong first turn. But may just have a good answer, which is a Frostbolt, so we'll see if he decides to... Oh, actually, never mind, I'm an idiot. You can't actually Frostbolt somebody with... So never mind, may just have no answers.
No, there's absolutely no answer here.
Yeah.
You know, that's why Fairy Dragon's so good, is because of the prevalence of mages, and also when Priest was top tier.
Yeah.
It's such a solid card. And now with that Blood Imp out, a Blizzard does not kill 2 of these minions.
No, it does not. This is getting a little bit scary already. I mean, he's got the Frost Nova, but with 30 health, nearly 30 health, you're going to want to draw at this point anyway.
I do want to point out Savjz putting the stealth minion in the middle. That really screws up Cone of Cold. So a fantastic move by him. And, you know, this is getting rough right now. This Warlock deck is just so strong, man.
This is getting really, really scary for Ekop. You know, what can he do? I mean,
I think he has to Cone of Cold the Argent, if you ask me.
I agree, yeah.
I think that he has to do that, freeze it, get the extra health off of everything, and see what you can do the next turn.
You know, you can Frost Nova and then ping something, but I don't think that would really be worth it at this point. Yeah, Cone of Cold a much better answer.
Well, that's going to take the shield, take away the extra health point.
Well,
and this will allow him to at least Blizzard next turn and get everything super low, and then he can start removing.
I mean, the thing is Frost Nova is a great card to save for the late game, because that's when you want to lock down all their big minions and then play something else at the same time. So yeah, Frost Nova is best saved for later in the game. But he's going to take some damage in the meantime.
Well, you know what? Another Blood Imp coming out as well.
Yep.
At least, 100% it has to be Blizzard this turn, right? There's nothing else.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, he's got 5 mana. This I would not play Molten Giant.
I mean, he could just freeze everything, right? And then just play like the Ice Barrier or something.
Well, I mean.
No, I think he saves that for next turn, the freezing everything.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, you want to save the Frost Nova. I would totally Blizzard this turn because it would get rid of a lot of creatures. It would bring the Blood Imp within ping range as well, or the Flame Imp rather within ping range as well. So you definitely want to do that.
Well,
and the thing is too is that like he's gonna be drawing more, so the Mountain Giant is still going to be within reach. But if you can Frost Nova and Mountain Giant in the same turn,
that's pretty good.
That's when it's gonna be really good. Yeah. But there's a Harvest Golem. He's annoying.
Yeah, well, you know what? Savjz is playing perfectly here anyways. He's drawing his cards, he's going ahead, playing out some more minions. And this is still a tough spot. He really needs a second giant freezing spell, but...
I would maybe think about Loot Hoarder and Ice Block this turn because you get a little bit of card draw and you would prevent some of the damage. And I think that's what he's probably going to do. We'll see.
Like an Ice Barrier, yeah?
Yeah, there we go. Because, yeah, he's gonna let him get through, basically. Well, I would still do that, yeah, because you're going to let him get through, and you're still going to take some damage, but you can reduce it. And remember, the theme with this deck is to just delay. Delay, and win in the late game. If he can outlast Savjz, he'll be okay. So he's going to take a little bit of damage this turn, but it could have been a lot worse. I feel like it's risky, but it's still within acceptable limits.
All right. Well, you know, this is still a lot of damage. He's going to take out that Loot Hoarder, but I think that Ekop doesn't mind that much about this. It gives him that extra card. Of course, he'd rather kill one of the minions off. But it prevents some damage, so that's good.
Well, you see what Ekop's doing here. He's building up to a very strong late game up there, Sylvanas, so that's going to be annoying.
Oh my god, man. Look at this. Warlock is so ridiculous right now, I have to say.
Sylvanas is such a good counter to all the big creatures in Ekop's deck, too.
Mountain Giant, freeze everything.
Yeah,
Nova,
I think you have to. I think
you absolutely do have to. And then, well, he's got Cones of Cold. He's got his Ice Block. This actually still can go his way, absolutely.
It could. It could in theory, yeah. I mean, he just cannot allow Sylvanas to get through at this point. Since he's got a Cone of Cold next turn, that's really what it's going to be. Because as soon as Sylvanas sacks herself on one of the big minions, things are just going to be, you know, game over for Ekop. Shadow Flame, though, ooh, that's a good one to use on Sylvanas. Yep.
Beautiful move. I love that right there. And
that's
now
going to make it pretty tough for Ekop to come out of this game.
This is a tough one.
Yeah.
You know, at least he can play his Molten Giant. This is bad.
He's got some sustain. And so, yeah, I mean, I think with Sylvanas out of the way, a Cone of Cold on specific minions plus a Mountain Giant wouldn't be a bad turn.
Yeah, like a Cone of Cold maybe on the Shattered Sun, plus the Frostbolt on the Giant. That'll bring him down pretty low still.
Yeah, I would probably do that. I mean, he's got another Ice Barrier as well.
Do 5. Yeah, he could Ice Barrier as well. He can also...
Here's
he
what
can
I
use
would
a ping. A ping isn't bad.
Yeah. Okay, so he's probably just gonna... There we go. All right.
He can kind of remove the... He can basically stop most damage for next turn, so that's pretty solid.
I mean, you could Cone of Cold on the Shattered Sun, and then ping the Harvest Golem, and we may still see him do that. Let's see. Oh, there we go. Yeah, that actually works.
Okay, this is pretty solid here.
Yeah, that's fine.
But still, that's 7 damage, man.
Yeah,
7
still...
plus 4, that's a lot. That's...
I mean, I would have maybe gone after the Cone of Cold on the higher attack minions, but I think he's just in huge trouble either way. I'm looking at that Argent Commander drawn by Savjz. He's got a Defender of Argus. He's got another Harvest Golem. He's got Void Walker.
That's 8 plus 3. That's 11 plus 4 more, and again, he's 1 point from killing him.
Ekop can survive another couple turns with Ice Block and Ice Barrier probably, but it's gonna be... I mean, he's gonna need to pull out a miracle to win this game.
Yeah, this is a pretty tough one, man.
Yeah.
He was a little bit too slow. Like, for instance, if he had a second Blizzard or something, this would be different. If he had a Flame Strike, this could have been different.
I mean, not to mention, too, I suppose he could still draw those things, but the other thing you have to consider is that Jiraxxus is still in there, and Jiraxxus is like the anti-Pyroblast, because if you get within Pyroblast range, Savjz should be aware of where that is, and then he plays Jiraxxus, you know?
Okay, so at least let's take a look the next turn here for Ekop, right? He can Molten Giant, he can do an Ice Block.
Huh.
I think he needs to save that.
You can't.
He has to save that till he has another freeze spell.
Yeah, you can't really use Doomsayer right now because it'll just die.
It's useless at the moment.
Yeah.
I think you have to Ice Block because 15 health is not enough.
I think you do both here, man. I think you Ice Block and you Ice Barrier. Just
Ice
throw it all
Block
out there.
Ice Barrier?
Yeah, because
I disagree with that.
Really? Because you're gonna use Doomsayer. I don't know about this. Because it's gonna.
Because he has enough damage
to
die.
7 I mean,
7.
The thing is
he has enough to kill that and deal all damage to him, right?
Well, you can think of too as you can also think of the Doomsayer as 7 armor as well, because it's going to be 7 damage that's going to get soaked up by creatures too.
Okay, he can Ice Barrier with the Doomsayer.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking.
But Ice Block with the Doomsayer doesn't make sense.
Well, you can still do both too. And I mean, on a turn where you're not really going to gain a lot from casting a Fireball, and he wants to save those for direct damage ideally with this deck, I say why not just throw out the 2 secrets? You know, why not just use that mana while you can, and then next turn you'll have mana to spend on attacking stuff.
Yeah, I could see that.
Because I really can't think of anything better for him to spend his mana on. I mean, he could Fireball, but with this deck you don't want to be using Fireballs on minions, and using a Fireball on Savjz on this turn
well,
really
the thing
isn't going to make much of a
I think what he really wants here is to draw a Pyroblast and be like, kind of clear the board enough, and then go like, Alexstrasza next turn, Ice Block, Fireball, next turn, Pyroblast, done. Like, I feel like that's a great way to try to finish out. And he has 3 pieces of that 4-card combo in there.
I could see that, yeah.
I think an Ice Barrier, 100%, it has to go out or he's going to die.
Well,
he has to play
Ice Block, yeah. He has to play...
Well, I think Ice Barrier, because Ice Block doesn't... I mean, Ice Block plus Doomsayer doesn't make sense. You need Ice Barrier. He could use a ping on the Argent. Okay,
he's going to actually Fireball.
Wow. Okay.
All right.
So he's not going to screw with Alexstrasza. That's going to be for his own life total.
Yeah. I mean, let's see. Okay, so... Presumably, he's going to do 7 damage to that. And
he's going to check to make sure
he's got enough with Soulfire anyway. Like, I mean, Ekop... Okay, there we go.
So he sees, okay, Ice Barrier. Okay, that's 15. Can he do 15? It's 5, 8, 12, 13, 14. Oh, wait, yeah, and he has...
Yep, he's got Soulfire,
so
actually,
he's had the game anyways.
See, that's why, man. That's why you play Ice Block instead of Fireball, because you always have to respect the fact that there is going to be the Argent Commanders, there's going to be the Soulfires in this deck. Like, yeah, he even says it himself. Yeah, absolutely should have played Ice Block.
That is... Yeah, that one, though. All right. Looks like Savjz wins game number 2. Okay, so, you know, that game, I want to say that Ekop never quite had the right combination of cards in his hand. Like, for instance, if the Doomsayer had come earlier, he could have frozen everything, Doomsayered it out, or, you know, maybe if he got another Blizzard, a Flame Strike, something like that, the game could have been different. And then, of course, the misplay there at the end, and, you know, there was still lethal on the board, even with the 8 armor.
Gotta play that Ice Block.
I guess you have to play as if they either have, you know, just any extra damage in hand, any extra damage, like even a Dark Iron would have been enough. Right?
A big part of Hearthstone is really just like finding the balance between assuming the worst and you know, assuming
what's
the best,
reasonable,
right?
And
yeah, because you have to think about, you know, what cards have I seen, how many cards are left in their deck, you know, and based upon that, what is a percentage of them having X card, you know, for X situation. And so just a little bit of a misread by Ekop there. And the thing is, against this Warlock deck, you cannot make any mistakes or you just die.
No, it's the deck. Again, I think personally that it's probably the best deck in the world.
I think
there's a few cards you can switch around in it. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be exactly this list.
And that's what we're seeing in this game here,
In
because
fact,
it's almost the same.
One card difference.
Yeah.
It's instead of Jiraxis, we see Ekop playing Rag, and then of course the two Stranglethorn Tigers.
We're up to 2 Stranglethorn Tigers right now. Because,
sickest troll.
right, obviously, like, 1 extra wasn't enough. He's gone up to 32 cards now with the 2 Stranglethorn Tigers. A little bit of a difference, too, is that, well, I guess there's 1 gold Dark Iron Dwarf, you know, so there we go. Actually, I think this is just Ekop showing up, showing off how many gold cards he has. And he's changed his name to Sixa apparently at the bottom too.
No, I think that had been fixed actually before that ever gets shown. So, okay, it's a mirror. Rag versus Drax, they're going to be good in different situations. So let's not even delve too deeply into that. I think that's just a. In fact, I believe when we were first going over that deck in game 1, I'm like, some people like Draxus.
It's a style choice.
Rag over Draxus, whatever.
Yeah.
But what this, I think, is mostly going to come down to, I think these guys are both going to play this deck basically perfectly. A lot of this is going to come down to the draw, let's be honest. It's the same deck going against
Absolutely.
itself.
Like any mirror in a CCG, it comes down to who gets a better draw, and then a little bit, of course, with who, you know, plays the better first, like, 3 to 4 hands, really.
Yeah, but you have to really kind of figure out what's in their hand. Like, things like Blood Imp could be very powerful here. Demon Fire, I feel like, is going to be a very powerful card here as well.
Yeah.
Of course, just all the pumping. I mean, everything here. These decks are. This deck is ridiculous, as you guys have seen already, and I guess we should probably just start and look at the draws, right?
Let's do it, man. I mean, not a lot more analysis to do. Let's just get in the game and find out what happens.
And here we go. It looks like the bottom player, Ekop, will be the one going first here. Has to decide what to start off with, and Voidwalker, not going to be a bad call.
Yeah, that's right. I feel like...
Maybe he won't do that, though.
I think Voidwalker wouldn't be bad. I mean, Argent Squire wouldn't be bad either, but you can't go wrong with a Voidwalker turn 1.
I like the Voidwalker turn 1 better. I think he's just a little bit more useful in the early game, especially if you draw a Demon Fire or something like that.
Yeah.
So, what are we going to see here? Do we see the Coin Knife Juggler?
I wonder, because he's got the 2 1-drops after this, but the likelihood that the Knife Juggler is going to live for that to even work is pretty unlikely. So I feel like you go with your 2 1-drops here, and then save the Knife Juggler for guaranteed damage at a later turn. That's what I'd probably go with.
But, you know, the Knife Juggler has a decent chance of forcing a Soulfire out when Ekop went first, so has less cards already.
I think he's going to actually maybe wait for next turn and then Knife Juggle into... Oh, I like that.
Interesting. And it actually
got the coin. Wow. Okay. Well, that was nice.
Yeah. No, I'm kind of interested with that.
Yeah. Well, now you can play the Knife Juggler, and yeah. Oh. Now you definitely. I would say.
Look at that. These guys are. Yeah. These guys are serious, man.
You could play the Knife Juggler, and the thing is, in a mirror match like this, you're gonna have to count on most of your creatures only lasting for 1 turn. And I would I guess.
Well, it's so funny because that's exactly what's happening. And look, he's going to play the Argent, Demon Fire that.
Oh, well, that's really bad for Savjz.
Yeah, Savjz is in a lot of trouble now. Now, both these, his damage doesn't really do anything to. I think he has to probably draw a card. Let's see what he actually draws, but...
Well, here's the funny thing
he has a life tap.
Well, here's the funny thing now is Ekop has 30 health, and it doesn't matter that he doesn't have any cards in his hand, because he'll be life positive against his opponent, presumably, for the rest of the game.
Well, he's got the edge now, right?
Yeah,
and in fact, he's going to play this minion instead of draw a card, which I really like.
Yep.
Because why the hell not? It's a little bit of a hard decision who to give this to. They're both, like, really good with this pump. But this is, like, Ekop has a really big edge at the moment.
I would actually give it to the Squire and then attack the Squire with your Squire. And then you'd have a 2/2 and he'd have a 1/1. And so
I think I would attack him. I think... Okay, yeah, that works out pretty well.
That works out too. Yeah.
He wants to just start removing all the minions off there because he knows
mean,
there's so much pump in Savjz's deck. For instance, with that Divine Shield on there, he could have played a Dark Iron this turn and nailed anything on the board. Anything at all.
Yeah, I still like the idea of having a 2/2 instead of a 1/1, even though it does leave their 1/1 on the board, just because then you have ways to handle things like that Fairy Dragon. So we'll see how it works out. This game is going to be insane, though.
Yeah,
all right.
Well, so far...
Oh, wow, what a draw.
God, that's a good draw.
Oh, man, that was so good.
You definitely kill this. Yeah, 100% you played just like that.
Wow.
Perfect play here from Ekop.
RNGG.
Now, this is what happens, man. He had a very nice draw there at the beginning. A little bit better than Savjz's draw. But really excellent play by him as well.
And apparently these guys have infinite Fairy Dragons.
Yes, the Fairy Dragons they're everywhere.
That's right. Indeed. You could play the Golem here too. It's a little bit annoying to deal with, but I feel like the attack threat from Fairy Dragon is a little
Well, I think you
better.
have to play him so you can kill a minion next turn.
Well, here is one thing.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, here's one thing where you can take advantage of the fact that they've got no cards in hand, because you can say, well, they probably won't have any removal.
And
you know?
well, he'd have to use a minion to remove as well. I love that.
Oh, dude.
Oh my God. Well, that's
things just keep getting worse for Savjz.
They
like,
do indeed.
I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'm gonna call it over. Yeah, I'm gonna call it over because that's the thing is like when you see mirror matchups like this, as soon as one player gets an advantage, it snowballs so hard, especially with these decks. Not I don't believe they're running Hellfire, right?
No, neither
I don't
deck
think
is
so,
playing
yeah.
Hellfire. So no, it's completely true though. Like in a situation like this, whoever has the board advantage chooses who fights, and that's the power of the Warlock deck. So of course, in the Warlock versus Warlock, that's what we're gonna see. Ekop gained the board advantage and just killed everything off.
Yep, there it is. He just GG's, man. I mean,
that's a fast
there's nothing you can do, and we're gonna go to Game 4 with Ekop making a bit of a comeback.
Okay, so you know, it kind of came down as expected.
Pretty much.
Who had the better draw? Who had the nicer start? And that was Ekop. Now we're going into game number 4, and this is a rematch of game number 2 within one card. I believe the only card different here. Let me just look through real quick. Yeah. Yep. Okay. So the only card different here is the Ragnaros for the Draxus that we talked about before.
Yes,
so
that's right.
Just like we saw with the Frozen Giants, Mage Giants, whatever we're gonna call this deck. I like Frozen Giants.
Frozen Giants
really
is a
cool.
cool name. I do like that.
That's what Nix was calling it, and I was like, oh, I like that name. That makes a lot of sense. But we saw this match already, right? And we did see Ekop do a little bit of a play mistake there. He wouldn't necessarily have won. Savjz was in a great position. But, you know, there are ways that this deck absolutely can beat it. Like we were talking about, for instance, maybe if he had the Doomsayer earlier, he could have done a Freeze plus Doomsayer combo and killed the board.
And when the Doomsayer comes late, he's not really good. That's why you only see people running one of them, you know, because it's like, I feel like Doomsayer and Flame Strike kind of like are the same risk level, where if you get a Flame Strike really early, it's really bad. But if you get a Doomsayer late, it's also kind of bad. So you just run one of each, and you
know what? I really like what you just said there. I
feel like they fill the same spot.
Yeah, it does feel like that. But Doomsayer late can still be good with the freezing effects.
Yeah,
so
a little bit tougher to make it work. But yeah, you're right.
No, but
if you have the right hand,
if you have the right cards in hand to combo with it, it's pretty fantastic. So, but I mean, Ekop, I felt like got off to a slow start. I predicted going into that the Mage deck would do well against the Warlock deck. Now let's see if Savjz can prove me right. Maybe have what would be a little bit more reasonable hand against this, and be able to take it out. What do you think? Do you think that he's going to be able to do it?
I think it's really going to depend a lot on the draw. I mean, one of the reasons why I stopped playing my Icy Manipulator deck way back when is because I felt like the draws were just too inconsistent for it to win regularly. It won like about 50% of its games, which isn't quite high enough to be like a top deck. So I feel like this is a good tech against the Warlock deck, but it's going to have that same sort of inconsistency in terms of starting hands. So we'll see. I mean, especially if you get first turn and you only get like 3 cards and you can only mulligan that much, it's a little bit risky, yeah. So I mean, Mage Giants, Snow Giants, whatever you want to call it, could definitely work, but we'll see.
All right. Well, let's go ahead, jump into this game, and see if Savjz can bring up 3-1, or Ekop will tie it up 2-2. It would be kind of funny, by the way. They just both keep winning with Warlock.
Say a lot about the state of the game right now, that's for sure.
All right, let's go ahead and check it out. All right, once again, as always, bottom player Ekop, It looks like he's got the coin. He's going second. Savjz pass his first turn, of course, as always with Mage. And here we go. First turn.
Yeah.
First turn Voidwalker.
Yeah, you know, we actually do have the Novice Engineer out there, who's definitely a gnome and not an elf. And we also have the Doomsayer as well early on. So I do like this starting hand a little bit better. The Ice Block, of course, kind of a dead card in your opening hand. But he's got Thalnos, he's got a Fireball, not too bad. But again, it's just, it is so hard to get a bad starting hand with this Warlock deck. This is actually what makes this deck truly dangerous, is that it is nearly impossible to get a bad draw.
You're going to have early minions no matter what. And as we see, look at this. Look at what he has on the board at turn 2. A 3-5 taunt and a 3-2. What?
I know. See, this is why everybody says, or all the people like who really know say, this is the best deck in the world right now. Because it is so hard to even get a bad starting hand. It's so hard to have a bad start with this deck. And your start is like so, it's such a big part of your game in Hearthstone, where you get so few cards early on. The starting couple turns are massively important. And look at that. This is just absolutely terrifying for Savjz.
It is, but you know what? Savjz's next turn is going to have 4 mana. He can do things like freeze a bunch of minions.
Yeah, he's going to
he can Fireball. You know, he's got Cone of Cold and Fireball. So
well, I think you gotta. Well, the thing is
this is better. I like this.
I agree. Yeah, because you're gonna be expecting some AOE, so you kind of wanna. You know, I would be almost. I don't know, because here's the thing. Here's the conundrum for the player who plays against this mage deck is how aggressive are you? Because you know you can't go late game. You know you have to get damage done early. So it's always a bit risky letting any of that damage that could go through to the player not go through.
Well, let's see here. It looks like he's thinking about playing. What was that? A Frost? No, that was a Loot Hoarder.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's thinking about playing Loot Hoarder right now.
I mean,
he's facing down a lot of damage on the board, but this is, you know, he's got a pretty reasonable hand. There's a lot of stuff he can do.
Your life is a resource, and in this case, I would use my life as a resource. I would get that card draw, and then, I would have actually, okay, Frostbolt, alright, because what he's going to want to do is wait for Cone of Cold and Doomsayer on turn 5, because then you can actually clear whatever's out there. You don't need to worry about the Doomsayer going down, probably. So I think that was a good way to kind of utilize that life as a resource, and he's fine with taking a little bit of damage this turn.
Well, what do we see here? Okay, he's going to buff this guy up.
A lot of damage.
Do you think he's going to... Yeah, I think he's going to take out this Loot Hoarder here.
Yep, he should. He should, because...
He's considering not doing it, but it looks like he will. Okay.
Yeah, you should, because you don't want to let the mage have any damage onto you, because you don't want to ever get yourself close to getting, you know, Pyroblast comboed, right? So, yeah, I think this is a good idea. He knows he's going to take... He knows he's going to get AoE'd at some point. And this is at turn 5, you know, does he do Doomsayer Cone of Cold? I think he do.
It looks like it.
Yeah, totally.
Alright, so there we have it. That puts 2 damage on the board. It's going to go into turn 5. No way for him to take that out. So this is kind of like, as you were saying before, Doomsayer can kind of be like take 2 turns, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure a life tap's going to happen. Will he play any other minions? He could technically play Harvest Golem.
If he draws into his Soulfire, he can play Shattered Sun Cleric onto his Golem and then kill it. And actually, with Defender of Argus, he knows Soulfire though, so yeah, he won't be able to do it. But
so yeah, just attack there. Yeah. And you know what? That was a pretty good. That was a pretty reasonable.
That's all you can do, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's fine.
Now Savjz has slowed the game down at 17 health. That's not so bad.
Yeah, that's where, you know, if you can stay like above 15-ish health, you're going to be feeling a lot more safer about this kind of thing. And now he's got a Pyroblast and a Fireball. He's got a Blizzard to handle the big board that should be coming out for Ekop soon, and he's got those Giants. But Ekop's still looking really strong. I mean, that Soulfire is a pretty powerful draw at this point in the game.
It is, but look at this, right? With a Blizzard in hand, he's not going to care about any of this. Of course, Ekop has to play these minions. He could have Argented to attack, but he needs to build his board to actually have staying power to kill him.
Yeah.
Thing is, this is all just going to get frozen.
It should, yeah. I mean, we should see the Blizzard coming out here, and he's going to, lower the Knife Juggler 1 health to make sure that the Blizzard kills it. And there we go. So, Blizzard. And that's the correct turn.
We're starting to see just how powerful this deck can be if it gets a more reasonable draw than what we saw before.
Oh man, this hand is still scary though from Ekop. I mean, 2 Argent Commanders, he's still got Soulfire, he's still got Defender of Argus. He's still got a really explosive way to do a lot of damage here.
That's right, he's going to be dealing a ton of damage coming up, but there's another Ice Block in his hand, so there's plenty of time, plenty of space for him to do things still.
Well, I mean, this is going to be the Mage deck getting to do exactly what it's designed to do, you know, is live past death, you know, so We'll see if he's able to actually finish him off. Big Giants.
Well, this is so funny, right? Because
like
the next turn, even if he gets lethal on him, he's got that Ice Block, and then he can Ice Block again. He has Alex Straws, he has Pyroblast. Like, next turn he can deal 24 damage.
Well, the funny
next turn he wins if none of this gets taken out.
Exactly. Yeah, the funny thing is with Defender of Argus, you can attack through and then keep yourself safe with blockers. You have to play Defender of Argus this turn. Absolutely have to.
I have to agree with you there.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably what we are going to see.
I think you go Shattered Sun onto the Golem, and then you play Defender between your 4-3 and your 3-3.
Yeah, I think that you're exactly right on that. But you know what?
Well, that's a
great
for the
play.
Golem. All right,
So,
it's not bad. I mean, it gets you a 4-4 either way.
It's going to give him a bit more damage as well. And look at that, going to drop that Blood Imp down so that Cone of Cold doesn't deal as much damage as it possibly could.
And here's why these Giants, don't come in that handy at this point, because there's no AoE yet. And the thing
That's
is,
still so much damage, right?
It is.
But he has that other Ice Block.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even need to use it yet. So he still has 2 more turns. So he can remove
got a chance.
the Golem
He's got a chance.
and remove the Divine Shield. Well, he's going to ping the guy first, of course.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
But he's at 9 mana, so that... You know what? That's actually a little bit frustrating.
Here's a situation where I would actually consider using a Fireball on a minion. I would maybe ping the... Oh, I would maybe ping the Argent and then use a Fireball on him. Then use one of your 8/8s on the 4/3 and then attack through, maybe.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Attack the Golem on Savjz's turn. See, he's trying to figure out, does he trigger with Soulfire? That's an interesting choice, because he knows what that is, of course. He's helped design the deck. He played the same deck.
Soulfire does not trigger the... Oh, it would because I was thinking Ice Barrier for some second, but never mind. Yeah,
I would trigger the Ice Block, and if you don't have a second Ice Block, that can get very scary. But and then that'll force the casting of the Ice Block. But the thing is, he can afford to cast Ice Block next turn. He can go Ice Block, the Ping, and the Fireball all together. That's 9 mana. That's how much he's going to have.
I would... that's a good choice. He's gonna leave it. He's gonna let it get through. I can't really say what would be better. I want to wait and see what happens.
You know what? I feel like he should have thought that all out too before playing all those spells, because now he knows what's in hand.
Yeah.
But anyways, this is actually really hard for me to say who's going to win this, because he is going to be able to remove some of these minions. He's going to stay alive next turn no matter what. He can't die next turn.
Okay, so he does use the Fireball on the Argent. That makes sense.
Very good play. Yeah. Should be attacking the Golem and then attacking for 8, and that still sets up a possible next turn kill for him.
Yeah, it sure does. And that's exactly what he's looking for with this deck, is you want to just be able to deal massive damage to him. Ooh, Shadow Flame's pretty good, though. If he well, he doesn't have anybody at 4 health, though. I mean, he could go Argent Commander into Shadow Flame.
You know, this is the coolest use of Ice Block ever, man. I love this right now.
Well, this is what makes this deck really fun. I mean, it's when you get that double Ice Block and you can live 2 extra turns, you just feel like such a badass, and you're like, you know you're making them so mad when you do it too.
Now, does he clear the board? He can play. Wait, he doesn't. Oh, if he had 1 more mana, he could Argent, hit one of the Giants, Shadow Flame, and then attack the other one to kill it and just clear the board. But he doesn't have that, so that's tough. That's.
Yeah.
Of course, he still does have to play that.
You kind of do, and you know, you can't Soulfire either because you're going to lose Shadow Flame.
He's dead. He can't kill all 3 Giants, so Savjz is just going to kill him with the Pyroblast. That's it.
Yeah, I definitely would not play the Argent at this point, but you kind of, I don't know, you kind of have to, just to take out the 8/4. I mean,
Well, the thing is, there's still lethal, and he has to assume there's a Pyroblast by now, right?
Yeah.
Just has to.
It really is all about not having that mana, you know, for that combo of Argent into Shadow Flame.
Yeah, and that's actually the right choice. I think he's realized that he's basically dead right now.
Might as well. Yeah, he might as well see what you get.
Well, he's still gonna see see what he can get done.
Yep.
So kill that off.
Yeah, but that's game. I mean, that's just it. Yeah. All right, and that's the strength. That's why this deck was teched against this mid-range stuff.
He's just checking to make sure that if there's anything in his opponent's hand for this.
You have to try to make the assumption that they don't have a Fire Blast or Pyroblast rather. We know he does, but of course Ekop doesn't know exactly what Savjz has, so he has to give himself the best chance to win here. But we know that it's over.
Yep. Really powerful play here from Savjz using this deck, and
I love it. That's exactly what that deck was designed to do. I'm glad we got to see that.
Yeah, that was pretty beautiful. All right. So it's 3-1 now. Savjz leads. Okay, so it is 3-1 right now with Savjz leading, but Ekop here is pulling out the perfect counter to this Frozen Giants deck. And this is literally the perfect counter. This is Hunter OTK with 2 flares.
Yep.
Okay, and of course, if you're actually playing like a really all-in Hunter OTK, you need 2 tracking, 2 flare. If you're not playing them, it doesn't make sense.
Yep.
Because it's just like getting you through your deck. And
yeah,
I mean, we all know Hunter OTK from the ladder. Okay, whether you've played with it or not, you've played against it, and it's kind of crazy. This is a really good version of it.
Well, if you've played with it, you've probably lost a couple brain cells, and if you've played against it, you've probably been kind of irritated, but no doubt it's got its place in the meta, and this is where you use it.
Indeed. The one interesting thing, double misdirection, as a couple of the secrets. I always call them traps when I'm talking about Hunter, but
I like it.
A couple misdirections, so that's kind of neat.
Right, because you need to have a little bit of delay in there. You know, you need to be able to get a little bit of damage on them. Because, I mean, yeah, you've got your hero ability with Hunter, which is what you use to mostly get down to where you can one-turn kill them. But a little bit of extra stuff, if you can get lucky with misdirection, doesn't hurt.
No, it can help a lot, especially since you're normally not really playing minions. The only minions that you'll be playing in this deck early on are the animal companions.
Yeah.
And as long as you don't get Leok, those minions are going to die very quickly. So the misdirection will always misdirect back at them. And the thing is, if you can just get them down to like 20-ish health
like
by turn 7 or so, this deck can just go off and kill. But let's talk about why this is the perfect counter to the mage deck, just real quick. The flares obviously are going to get rid of the secrets.
Yep, no ice barrier, no ice block. That helps a lot.
And this deck is based off freezing your minions. And so this is just going to go off and kill them. And the mage deck is supposed to go to like turn 9, 10, 11, something around there. So good luck to Savjz. I think he's dead. I think he's just dead.
It's going to be really tough. I mean, you can't take out the bad hand factor of it, but yeah, this deck should beat the mage deck pretty handily. We'll see if it does.
When you look at the amount of damage that the mage deck actually has early, it just can't kill quick, so yeah.
We'll see.
Alright, well, let's jump in and see if we're right about this. Here we go, Doa. Hunter OTK against Frozen Mage. It's
Hunter
gonna be hilarious.
OTK time.
And already, he's got a flare.
It's a good starting hand, man. I mean, he's got the flare, he's got the deadly shot. I like it. There's not going to be a whole lot of creatures coming out for Savjz, so that makes deadly shot so good. And there's that misdirection as well. Just building up that hand.
Well, I think we're just literally going to see hero powers used for a very long time, and then Ekop is going to go off.
Well, that's another thing that that helps a lot actually with this deck is that the hero power will outdamage mage hero power as well.
That's right.
Now the thing is that Savjz has a chance here. If he plays that Doomsayer at the proper turn, he can possibly prevent, for one turn at least, the one-turn kill from going off. So it's it's a possibility, but I don't know. We'll see.
The thing is, you have to kill him no matter what with that.
Yeah.
If you went for that, so we'll see, man. I think the Doomsayer is going to be not the most useful, but
it's hard to time it. But I'm just trying to find like ways where this mage deck could possibly win here.
It's a pretty tough one.
Yeah.
Maybe he gets the Mountain Giants out, but the thing is, he has a misdirection in his hand. He's just waiting. He knows the deck inside out, of course. And this I like. Just he knows to play the explosive trap because why not? 2 more damage to his opponent.
Well, he's already got him down to that like sweet 20 to 22 damage range where that OTK can finish you off.
The next turn he can play that Mountain Giant for sure.
Yep, he certainly can.
Yeah.
And people may be like, oh well, why are you calling the game already over and stuff like that? Well, the thing is that in CCGs, every deck should have a counter. If a deck just doesn't have a counter, it ends up like, that Warlock deck almost, where it's nearly impossible to lose with it. And even though this Mage deck is kind of a counter, it's still a risky counter. But the fact that it exists is a good thing. Like, every top CCG deck should have a hard counter.
As it should, and this is this one. And look, this is already quite well done. He's going to play that misdirection, makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
He can save it if he wants, but I think it's better to just play it out. He's got the Buzzard, he's got Unleash the Hounds.
Got the Direwolf.
I don't think he's going to try to go off next turn, but I think on turn 7 he's going to try to go off.
Yeah, I mean he's also got Kill Command as well for a little bit extra damage. Probably won't even need it though. There's a Molten Giant, doesn't really matter because it's not a blocker. Oh, there's some more buffing.
No, I think one more turn. I think ping him right now, right?
Yep.
And maybe even just kill command him to the face because he wants the misdirection to go off, right?
You might also want to just do deadly shot here, but oh no, never mind. With misdirection, never mind.
It's so much extra damage. Yeah, steady shot.
Yeah.
And kill command. In my opinion, that is the best thing to do here.
This is so dangerous for Savjz because yeah, if he attacks, and the thing is, if Savjz knows what deck he's playing against, he's like, oh great, I have this 8/8 and I can't even attack with it because that might be misdirection. But I feel like you have to attack because maybe it'll be explosive trap, but I don't know what player would really play explosive trap into a mountain giant. So he has a pretty good idea that mountain giant's going to be hitting him if he attacks with it. But you got to do it. You have to do it.
You got to do what you got to do.
Yep.
Arcane Intellect, let's see if he can draw anything interesting. Okay. No, he should be playing that elf first. Yep, there you go.
I agree.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, just in case it is misdirection, that gives him a chance to not deal 8 damage to himself.
Yep. There you go. Okay, so will he get lucky? Will he misdirect onto his elf? He will. Oh, he won't. Oh, man.
That's rough, man.
The game plays games.
It always tries to trick you like that. So
it does.
Ekop's just going to go off this next turn and kill him. I can't fathom him not killing him off. But I do think he should have played the extra damage last turn. Now let's see.
Yep. Well, here we go.
7 mana. Yeah, this should
be
OTK
time. Yep.
Draws a card.
Wolf. Yep.
And he's even got the coin in his hand
4 mana left. Yep. 5 mana effectively left.
And look at how much damage this already is on the board.
Yep. That's 9 damage. All he needs is a little bit more. And there it is. There's that 3 more damage. And that is going to...
That's it, man.
End the game. Yep.
Well done. The counter deck does win, as it should. The mage deck woefully unprepared to play against this.
Oh, yeah.
Alright, kind of one-sided there. And now look at the deck that Savjz has brought out.
Yeah.
Okay, this is, well, taking a look at it, my first thought is there's... You know, he's not playing the Wolf Taunts, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah, no Doomhammer either as well. So,
but he does have 2 Defender of Argus and 2 Earth Elemental, and both those cards are basically so good against Hunter OTK.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a great deck to bring out. You know, good, just solid Shaman deck. You've also got the potential for Taunter out of your Totem as well. So, I think this is fine. Yeah, I think this is a good choice. It's still always a little bit risky with Hunter OTK, but you know, we'll see.
You know, well, Hunter OTK just is so dangerous. Like, for instance, you know, he has the deadly shots, right?
Yeah.
And he has the kill commands, and he has the Iron Beak. So these are all ways that he can deal with the taunts.
Yeah.
You know, the explosive traps can help out in this way to clear the board so that something like a deadly shot will work. And of course, if there's only one taunt, you can just wait for an Iron Beak in your hand to go off. So the thing is that Shaman decks like this one, like it doesn't have the Flame Tongue Totem and it doesn't have Bloodlust. So this one is not a deck that's going to kill you fast.
Yeah, it's not really a big aggressive Shaman deck. It's I mean, the name gives it away. You know, it's just calm and collected. It's just meant to survive. It's meant to just endure. Because if you can endure that big assault that comes at like turns 6, 7, like we saw last game, then you're gonna have a pretty good chance of winning. Because the stuff they're gonna be bringing out against you isn't gonna be that beefy. It's gonna have relatively low health. It's gonna be pretty easy to AoE down with a lightning storm or something like that. So as long as Savjz can survive that big OTK hit, he should be okay.
Yeah, indeed. That's what it's all about. We'll see if he can get enough taunts out to actually do that, though.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see how it matches up. I think, you know what, I really think, I'm looking at it like, for instance, the Hex isn't really going to help at all. He's got like some of this minion move that's really not that useful, but again, it's just how many taunts can get down and how quickly.
It's good. I mean, like, the lack of Doomhammer, I just want to talk about a little bit more. The lack of Doomhammer is a little bit surprising, but at the same time, what would Doomhammer even get you against this Hunter deck? Nothing. It would be it'd be pretty much useless. So this is a deck pre-designed to handle the Hunter OTK deck. I think this is kind of like designed to be a little bit of a counter to this counter that Ekop brought out. So can he counter the counter?
It's a really solid deck. Like, this is going to gain so much card advantage when you look at things like Argent Commanders and Fire Elementals. It's like, well, I mean, if this game is playing against any of that mid-range stuff and lives through the early game, it's going to dominate. So we'll see how it does against this combo deck. Let's just go ahead and jump into this game.
Alright, here we go, guys. Game number 6. Can Ekop OTK another deck from Savjz? We'll find out. It's an interesting starting hand from Savjz. Not a lot of early play, but then again, I mean, the thing is that he doesn't really need to worry about a lot of stuff early on. Like I said, it's all about surviving. So while I don't like that early hand, I agree with you there. I think against this deck, it could be worse.
I guess it could be, but you know,
he
I would
did
like
draw
to
the Knife
see.
Juggler. All
Okay,
right.
that's pretty solid.
Yeah.
I want to see some early aggression here. You want to put pressure on the Hunter deck and
A
try to
little
make
bit.
it go off quicker.
Oh man, Eaglehorn Bow though. Yeah, that's gonna be pretty good. Yep, that does help a little bit. All right, so the Knife Juggler's down right away. And
he
again,
knows he needs to control the board. You do when someone starts playing a lot of minions early on, it forces the Hunter to control the board a bit more rather than steady shots, which sets up its combo a little bit stronger.
You know what's going to be interesting though is that Ekop's going to really need to be trying to get rid of every single creature on the board each turn, because if Savjz is able to get a turn where he can get off a couple creatures and then have 2 taunters from Defender of Argus, that's going to be really annoying for Ekop to deal with. So
very true.
Yeah, Ekop does need to be aware of that, and that's why we see the Explosive Trap going down. It does kill that minion off.
And of course, it gives Eaglehorn Bow that additional durability, so that's a big deal. That's going to allow him to do quite a bit more with it.
Yep.
And a Sylvanas, a very fast Sylvanas. So now he has to decide how to deal with this.
It's kind of a risk because you never know when they're going to have Deadly Shot in their hand, and of course, you know, Animal Companion. You could get the charge minion plus the Eaglehorn Bow to possibly take it out. He's going to try to track for something here. He could track into he can track into a Deadly Shot if he's lucky here.
Ooh.
Oh man, that's a really rough tracking for this deck, though.
This is... Look how crazy this is, because do you take the Starving Buzzard to try to go off the standard way, or do you take Unleash, because double Unleash with the Young Dragonhawk is insane damage, especially with the Direwolf out there.
Oh, he went with it, yeah. I think that's fine. I think
it's totally fine. He's just going for it, man. He's going completely all in with this.
You have to go for it. But the thing is now there's an Earth Elemental in his hand, there's a Defender of Argus, so
But we have an Iron Beak. So...
We do, but he's going to need to get rid of 2 taunters, though, not just 1.
Well, if he tries to go off next turn... Hold on, let's take a look. Does he have enough damage here?
Maybe... No, I don't know.
Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He needs 7 mana, really. Okay, so a misdirection coming out. Very nice there. That's going to prevent a ton of damage being done to him.
Yep. Does he Iron Beak here? I wouldn't. Okay, he doesn't either. All right.
I think he just saves it for the attack for sure, because it is a beast.
Harvest Golem into not enough for Defender of Argus, of course, because of that Earth Elemental, and that may actually be a big problem for him, because he really needs 2 taunters out on the board.
Yeah, he just didn't have the mana for it, so...
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
Well, this is going to make him lose that, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh, that hurts.
Yeah,
that hurts a lot.
It's kind of rough.
Still 7 damage, but yeah, without any taunts on the board, now he's in a lot of trouble. 17 health. I think he
does he combo out here? He has the Young Dragonhawk, the Direwolf that he puts next to it.
Without doing the math, I'm pretty sure you can. He may just want to attack with the bow too, rather than spending the Iron Beak all. Even though it is 7 damage, if he can kill him this turn, it's
But
worth
if he uses the Iron Beak, that's an additional beast to attack, and he can hit with Iron Bow, which gives him a bunch more damage.
Yeah,
so
I guess.
I think this is good.
Ekop, without doing the math, just based on other games I played, he should be able to win this.
This looks like more than 17 damage, because he has double Unleash, which is just madness.
Yeah,
He's counting it up right now, so...
4 plus, let's see, what would it be on the Dragonhawk?
The Dragonhawk will get plus 1, 2, 3, so that's 6.
I think you gotta do that, and then Dragonhawk and then double Unleash.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Okay.
And look at that. That's even.
Oh yeah, that's plenty. Yep.
That's
combined
so
with the
much
weapon
damage.
especially. Yeah, he's got plenty. All right.
Oh my god.
Well, there you go. Well, OTK looks like it'll OTK again.
It's a strong deck. Didn't quite get enough taunts out quick enough. There
was
the second owl in there, so he was.
Yeah.
That was a little bit rough for him.
I mean, we saw how Savjz's deck had the potential to win, but just not quite fast enough this time, and Ekop's gonna force a game 7.
Well, this brings us into Game 7, and I think it's our first Game 7.
Yeah, we've done a lot of these already, so it's hard to remember, but it's certainly a close series either way. I mean, it's down to this. This is it. It's going to be the Paladin deck coming out from Savjz going against the Hunter OTK deck from Ekop. And let's take a look at this Paladin deck. I mean, this is a little bit closer to the one that you took to BlizzCon, but it still has a few differences.
Yeah. Like, for instance, there's only one equality in here. It looks like... Still keeping the double Avenging Wrath, double Consecration, which is nice. 1 Lay on Hands and a Rag over the Tyrion. And that's something that I knew, like, a few days after I submitted the BlizzCon decks, I'm like, I wish that Tyrion wasn't here. You know, Varag is definitely a better choice. And a little bit better for the early game for sure, too, right? South Sea Deckhand, Argent Squires. He's even got the Blood Knight there for the possible second turn 6/6.
Yeah, yeah. You always want... I mean, that's the thing, is that there's a lot of, like, good... sometimes things in Paladin mid-range, and I feel like the Blood Knight is a good choice in there. I just love Deckhand with the Sword of Justice because it's such a aggressive, you know, fast charge minion with the buffing to it, but we'll see how it goes. I mean, it all depends on if he can survive the OTK again. I mean, and I feel like you need the blocking with that. But in this particular case, though, he can go down to potentially, you know, 20, 15 health or whatever, and then if he survives it, he can lay on hands, get back up there, and if he can get the lay on hands off, he will absolutely be able to beat this deck.
I think, though, the key to winning this for Savjz is just pure aggression.
Yeah.
All out, attack non-stop.
Definitely.
Try to kill Ekop off, because if we're hitting around turn 8, the lay on hands can definitely switch the game around, but he's got 1 in the deck, and around turn 8, you know, the Hunter deck can deal ridiculous amounts of damage.
You know, I just don't know if this deck is quite fast enough to just straight up kill him. I feel like you need to
He's got to mulligan into something very aggressive.
Yeah, you need to be aggressive, but then you also need the blocking at the appropriate turn. And so...
I definitely, what you're saying here, I don't think that this is the best matchup for Savjz. I think that
it's going to be a little bit tough.
It's, out of all the decks that he brought, well, the Mage deck would be worse against the Hunter OTK, but this would be second worst. I think both of his other decks would have done a better job against this. I mean, just a little bit faster.
What he's going to be hoping is that with a fast start, he can get some of those removal spells out that would have normally been used on Taunters rather instead. So if you can draw those removal spells out early on with some aggression, then he can get the blockers out at a safe time, survive the assault, and then come back strong with Lay on Hands, with Ragnaros, with the Argent Commanders and all that. So it all depends on the draw. I mean, Savjz could definitely win it, but we'll see how it all plays out.
We certainly will. So let's go ahead, jump into game number 7, an epic match here.
Yeah, totally. Best series we've had yet, I think, hands down.
I think so. So let's do it.
Alright guys, this is it. It all comes down to this Game 7 Paladin versus Hunter OTK. I'm so excited to see how this game plays out. Savjz with a turn 1 Argent Squire. Perfectly fine. Perfectly strong.
Yeah.
He's got an interesting first hand too. It really could have used the coin.
You know what? Yeah, but I really like his hand. Next turn, he can like make a token, then maybe a Sword of Justice, and double South Sea Deckhand with Sword of Justice out is so much damage.
Thing is that unless an explosive trap comes out, he's going to have a lot on the board. He's going to have a good opportunity for Argent Commander, or a Defender of Argus rather, to come in later on. So you really couldn't ask for a better start for Savjz. He's put himself in the straw in a chance to win it. We'll see if he can. It all depends.
The Sword of Justice, man, this is so powerful
there
here.
We go.
This is going to be the next turn. He's doing a brutal amount of damage, and as you said, if we don't see an explosive shot immediately, and that's not an explosive shot.
Explosive trap, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I...
Right. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
An Eagle Horn Bow is not actually going to be that helpful because he's going to be doing damage to himself.
What does he get? Oh, Leok. Okay, that's a bad one.
Yeah, not exactly the 4/4 taunter he was looking for there. This is not the minion you're looking for.
No, it certainly is not. So...
Ooh, nice. Oh, wow.
Wait. I think South Sea Deckhands are
Oh yeah, you still have to play. You still have to play the Deckhand, but the Blood Knight's going to be really nice later on.
Yes, it's certainly.
He's a closer. He's a closer.
So a couple South Sea Deckhands coming out.
Yeah. That's
going to be a lot of damage. It's 6 additional damage, so he can deal 8 this turn.
You got to do it, man. I mean, he's got more mana. I feel like.
Okay.
Well,
you know what?
It's an interesting choice. He's going to attack with the weapon too.
He might be saying, you know what, Leok.
Yeah.
He has a lot of staying power with this Sword of Justice. So the Leok gives +1 to all the minions, which allows the young Dragonhawks to make him go off way faster.
Exactly. It'll allow you to OTK faster. And he's going to actually go into that to 7/7. Okay. And with 3 minions out, he's not worried about Deadly Shot that much. So, yeah, I think that was perfectly fine.
Yeah, if Deadly Shot comes down and nails the right guy. Well, he could play... No, he doesn't have enough mana for all this, so...
Yeah, I mean...
I think Ironbeak is actually fair here.
Yeah, you may want to actually Eaglehorn Bow here, too, because you want to clear out the minions enough to that...
And then you have to use your coin. Ew.
Yeah, it's a bit rough. I mean, it reduces it to a 3/3.
No, I think he has to save the coin. He has to try to go off. I like this play. Adding the damage, saving the coin so he can go off 1 turn faster.
I would have thought about maybe... Well, yeah. That's just fine. Alright, so obviously going to trade there. And the deckhand going to make some more damage onto that. He may actually just want to clear out the owl with the 3/3 too, just to keep guys on board and again be, you know, deadly shot proof.
Yeah, I'm actually okay with him just trading one of these little crappy minions.
It's
for
okay
it
too. It depends on how much of a risk you want to take.
By keeping this pressure on.
Oh, there we go.
That's like pretty helpful, right?
Yeah.
And that's a lot of damage coming in next turn. In fact, that's 6, 10, 11 damage. It's a lot.
5 mana is not going to be enough to take out 24 health for Ekop.
Yeah,
so.
I think he's probably just counting real quick, but it just doesn't look like quite enough. Because he has 6 because of the coin, right? So not quite. This is a lot of damage incoming, but not enough to kill him. Even with the Argent coming out next turn, it's not quite enough. So he, I think that would not be a bad play. Maybe a Deadly Shot plus...
The thing is, he's still alive next turn, so he's still got at least one more turn here.
Yeah.
So I feel like you just Deadly Shot, you know, cross your fingers, and then you maybe...
Yeah, as long as it doesn't hit the 1/1, the Deadly
Yeah.
Shot is quite nice, and then you try to go off next turn.
Yep.
And you get the extra 2 damage on him as well. And at 22, he's already got 2 Unleash the Hounds, a Timberwolf, and the Young Dragonhawk. And the thing is, those Young Dragonhawks are really how you kill.
He could still win it. Yeah, he could definitely still win it. I mean, that's 11 damage minimum coming out from Savjz next turn. I'll actually add in the Argent possibly. So that would be 11 plus 4, 15 damage minimum. Yeah, it's gonna be close. But
well, I think it's more like 11 damage, or no, that with the Argent, that's the maximum, right? Because it's gonna use up all his mana. So
yeah,
I feel like a Deadly Shot and just try to go off next turn. I think you just If I was playing this deck, I think I just Deadly Shot, Steady Shot.
Yeah.
Hope he doesn't have Defender of Argus and try to go off next turn.
You really got to roll the dice in this particular case. I mean, he could always put down a couple things and then just unleash to try to clear the board with minions, but you don't want to do that with this deck.
Yeah.
That would be like a real desperation move.
That would be brutally.
And that's almost like just accepting loss too if you give up your hand like that. So there really is no good answer for Ekop.
It's a gamble anyway.
I agree. I mean, Deadly Shot and then Steady Shot, your hero ability, probably just the best thing you can do at this point. But it's not going to be good either way. Is he going to try to maybe go off this turn? He does have 6 mana with the coin. He could try it. He could maybe get lucky here.
It's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Like his whole hand will be used with 6. The Starving Buzzard wouldn't even really make that much sense unless he's looking for a second Dragonhawk. So it's like 2 random.
Yeah.
Oh,
that is not a good thing at all.
Well, as long as he doesn't. Okay, so here he has to use Steady Shot.
Yeah.
As long as Defender of Argus isn't drawn this next turn, he still has a shot at killing him.
Yeah. He's got a chance. I mean, he's given himself the best option, you know, possible. There's the Divine Shield. And that's going to use up all the mana, but it's going to be, like we said, I believe, 14 damage, I think.
So this is, he has to go off this next turn.
Yeah.
And this is the way combo decks function.
Yeah. Explosive Trap, not going to be too helpful.
He doesn't even need to think about this. He just
has
to
try
start
it.
Going off.
You got to go for it.
Throw down your Wind Fury.
Yep.
Let's see what you draw.
And
no. Oh my god, he's actually playing a Stranglethorn Trigger, and this is so funny.
It actually was in the deck list.
What a troll, man.
Too expensive to use this time around, though. Misdirection, not going to be
Misdirection
helpful.
actually could... Wait, let's count up the damage, right? So he has to play at least 1 Unleash. The Misdirection, though, could be, if he's 4 damage off...
He could get a little bit lucky.
Oh, wait. That actually wouldn't help, because the Unleash actually adds more damage than Misdirection.
You're always going to attack with your lowest attack minion into a Hunter Trap, too. So you probably won't be able to misdirect his opponent to death.
That's 6, 7, 8... And then that's 12, and you can do it again for another 2, 3, 4 damage. So not enough.
No.
He can deal 16 this turn, and that's it. That's
because he's not going to get any more card draw.
Short,
yeah.
But, you know,
well, hey, I mean, the Paladin deck did exactly what it was supposed to do. You know, it was supposed to get aggressive early on, make it hard to clear the board, and there you go.
If it was just a bit slower, Ekop may have been able to go off, but you know what? This is...
And I mean, this is a really good example of why the mid-range aggro has kind of taken over, because this is one of the many decks that they beat usually pretty consistently, is they beat that Hunter OTK deck by just being a turn or two faster. That's all you need.
Yeah, you just force them to do this, and as you can see, this is not enough damage. I think Ekop's just trying to show, like, okay, you know, I can deal a lot, but it's not enough.
Yep.
Even with that coin, just... He's like, maybe a turn too late.
Yeah.
So GG and Savjz.
Wow, 3-time winner now.
Oh.
Getting scary.
Okay, so Savjz, our 3-time King of the Hill champion, taking down the legendary Ekop, but you know what? Either way, it's a win for Team Doge.
That was a great series, though. I mean, because we got to see a lot of the top decks in the scene right now. We got to see a lot of the good tech decks that people use to counter some of the top decks, and then we got to see counters to counters. That was actually my favorite series we've done yet. I am so happy that that's what we got to come back with after the break.
And I think overall these are some of the highest level decks that anyone has seen yet. Really great play, really a lot of fun. These guys are both very great players indeed. Guys, thank you very much for watching. I'm Artosis, he is Doa, and we are from iHeartView.com, so check that out. And coming up next, the Turn 2 podcast.
Yeah, we're back again with Turn 2 as well, so do not go anywhere. We'll be back with the talk show right after a short break.
So thanks for watching, and we'll see you in just a few minutes.